All right, welcome everyone to today's webinar. Today we're going to be talking about maximizing revenue from charity golf tournaments. I thought this webinar was particularly well timed, being that it is in May and a lot of tournaments are coming up in the summertime. We got a great response from this, and we have a lot of people joining us today, so we're really excited to share some unique tips that will hopefully help you generate a lot more revenue and add to your bottom line at those tournaments this year. So with that, we're going to get started. From WhyNotGolf, I want to welcome the founder and CEO, Brent Haworth. Thank you so much for joining us today, Brent.
Thanks, Ian. Thanks for having me. We just look forward to having this webinar and give some good tips to some people that are running some golf tournaments this year.
Yeah, Brent has started a great software piece. He's down in Florida and helps out with a lot of golf tournaments. So he's going to be sharing a lot of great tips, tons of experience. I know he's been doing golf tournaments for pretty much his entire life. Isn't that right, Brent?
Well, I wouldn't say my entire life, but I wish I had. If I could golf in a tournament every day, I probably would.
I love it. I love it. And my name is Ian. I'm the Vice President of Fundraising here at Winspire. And we love putting on these educational webinars to help you guys maximize your fundraising revenue. Just one housekeeping item. If you have questions, we definitely want to hear them. You can input them in the GoToWebinar questions panel that you'll see over on the right. We're not going to answer them during the webinar, but we will have a Q&A at the very end where you can get your questions answered by Brent and myself. We'll have a nice little discussion there at the end. So make sure you submit your questions. Before we get started too, I wanted Brent to kind of share some really interesting stats about golf tournaments and just kind of the industry as a whole. Go ahead, Brent.
Yeah, so I would say golf tournaments is one of the most popular ways for charities or high schools to make money at most popular events that they can do. As you see, it's estimated there's at least 300,000 golf tournaments run every year, and that I've seen some numbers that fluctuates between 300,000 and possibly even 500,000. So there's a lot of golf tournaments out there. And the numbers on the average net return for each golf tournament is around 5,000. So, and that could go way higher depending on your level of sophistication, your turnout. And as a whole, around $3 billion each year is raised at charity golf tournaments. So it's a great way to make money, great way to, have a fun time for everyone and get everyone out there and, raise money for your charity.
Yeah, these are some pretty staggering numbers, I feel. 300,000 is a lot of golf tournaments, and it's a really great kind of off-season event that you can have, because not a lot of galas happen during the summer or, kind of the spring or even early fall, and it's just a great way to kind of add to your event schedule each year. Hopefully not add too much work to your schedule, but, with some of the tips we're going to be sharing here today, we'll hopefully alleviate that. So. Next up, just a brief note about Winspire. For those of you who are unaware, we provide travel experiences for nonprofit events, live auctions, silent auctions, raffle prizes, especially at golf tournaments. We've been in over 47,000 events globally and serviced almost 90,000 satisfied winning bidders that we've sent on these incredible trips around the globe. And to date, we've raised just shy of $53 million for nonprofit causes. We're really proud of that number. And we're going to keep working at it. So for those of you who are not familiar with how Winspire works, all of our travel packages are no risk. They're free to reserve for your fundraising event. You can reserve them, offer them to your audience, put them on your silent auction tables at your golf tournament, use them as a raffle prize. You can sell them as many times as you want. It's a really good way to really amplify the revenue. And you simply keep all the proceeds above the nonprofit cost. It's as simple as that. And then we take care of all the winning bidders, booking their experience. We give them a full concierge service. We're a full service travel agency because we want to make sure that your winning bidders are coming back and purchasing Winspire experiences and raising money at your events year after year. So if you want to learn more, definitely check out our website. And in particular, just real quick, wanted to talk about our silent auction properties. They're lower price travel packages that are focused on, they're just hotel only. We partner with preferred hotels and resorts to provide these packages, and they are perfect for the golf tournament silent auction tables, which if you don't have, they're a great thing to have as people are kind of milling around the golf carts, getting ready or waiting to start their round. They can bid on those before and after the tournament. So check that out also at our website. Today, we're going to be talking about these 5 things. This is our overview. We're going to be talking about negotiating rates, both at the golf tournament or golf courses and elsewhere, utilizing technology, which is a big piece of what WhyNotGolf has helped solve. Then generating revenue. That's the whole point. You're there at these golf tournaments. Event promotion, really crucial piece of just getting enough golfers there in your community to come participate. And then, of course, planning for next year. You always want to be thinking ahead when you're planning these events so that you are doing yourself some favors and saving yourself time. So we're going to discuss each of these. I always like to start these webinars with a little audience poll to see what you guys think out there. The first question we're going to ask you guys is, how many players do you typically get at your golf tournament each year? And I'm going to pop this up. You're going to see the poll come up in front of you. How many players do you typically get? Is it 30 to 60, 60 to 90, 90 to 120, 120 or more, or have you not hosted a tournament yet? Maybe you're here to learn a lot about just how to do this in general. So go ahead and submit your answer here. How many players do you typically have? We have about 80% of everyone who's voted. I'm going to give it another 5 seconds. And 3, 2, 1. Interesting. All right, great. What do you make of this, Brent?
That's pretty good. To me, it looks like there's some people out there who have run a tournament for more than 1 year, probably 5 to 10 years. The 90 to 120 and the 120 above, that tells me that they know what they're doing and this isn't their first year. So, and I look to, if the people who haven't run a tournament yet, they're probably going to get the most out of this, but I think anyone who's listening can probably get something out of this. But it's good to see. That's a great amount of numbers for some golf tournaments.
Really encouraging. Yeah, I'm glad to see there's a lot of people here who are just interested in learning how to run a tournament. Definitely a lot that you can learn here today. We have one more question that we're going to ask here, and that is, for those of you who have run a tournament, what is your average return? And I'm going to launch this right now. What is your average return on golf tournaments each year? And we'll kind of narrow this down onto, if just your one golf tournament. Is it 0 to 2,500, 2,500 to 5,000, 5,000 to 10,000, 10,000 or more? Or for those of you who haven't run a tournament yet, go ahead and select that last answer there. We've got about 75% of you voted. We'll give it another 3 seconds or so. 3, 2, and 1. Oh, wow. Woo. I love it.
Nice. That's awesome. Got some champs out there.
We didn't offer enough answers. I want to know how much.
That's good. That's really good. Maybe it tells us the national averages are low, or that these guys just really know what they're doing. So, with our webinar today, I think we can help add to that as well. So that's great to see.
Great to see. We got some pros out there. That's awesome. All right, let's move on here. First off, we're going to start with talking about just negotiating rates. And this is something I didn't even think of because I've been part of several golf tournaments myself, but I just didn't even think of this. And this is one of the first pieces of advice that Brent offered out of the gate. So tell us a little bit about this, Brent.
So the first thing you do when you're running a golf tournament is you have to find the course that you're going to play at. And a lot of people don't know. And if you don't golf all the time, which I do, I know all the times where it's cheaper and everything, you end up finding out the more tournaments you run that you can actually negotiate with courses. Golf tournaments are big business for each course. Here in Orlando, it's very cutthroat. Like, one course doesn't want the other course to know that they're running a tournament. So they're willing to negotiate with you. If they hand you an offer when you first show up, for $50 a player, you can ask them if they can do it for $45, or you can ask them if you're getting lunch with a golf tournament, you can ask them if they can give you a discount on the rate that they first showed you. So you don't want to go in and just accept their offer. It's always worth asking them for to give a little, because you, as the charity, you want to raise as much as possible. And every dollar per golfer is going to help you get closer to your goal, or raise your revenue that year.
And so you kind of play them off each other then a little bit.
Well, you don't really have to play them off each other. You can do that. It just depends on what you want to do, but just don't be afraid to ask them if they can lower their rate.
And you talk about how you're going to be bringing a lot of new people to their course who may not have
Exactly.
been there before. Yeah, that's
Exactly.
great.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, most of their business comes from golfers, like regular foursomes or twosomes. But you're bringing 100 people to a course, you've got the leverage there. So it's the volume, and then you're eating lunch afterwards. So you have the leverage, and you can definitely ask for a little bit of give there.
You can almost treat them like a title sponsor almost, right? Like offer to put their logo, talk about their course, say, hey, we're going to say thank you, XYZ Country Club for hosting us. Has been such a fabulous event. They're going to get a lot of recognition, which is important to emphasize when you're shopping around.
Yeah, I mean, that might not affect it that much, but that's certainly, yeah, you're definitely bringing new golfers out there. So
Cool. Tell us about how you recommend shopping around.
so shopping around. What I do if I was running a tournament for the first time, if I'm not necessarily married to the course, I would look at a few courses, not just one. I mean, there's always especially in Orlando, there's around 80 or 90 courses where we are. There's a lot of different choices. So if you have different choices, you can go to each one and get a proposal from each one. And if budget and numbers are your thing, or your main focus, then you can go for the cheaper one, or at least be able to see the different prices and see what different people are charging. So it's good to shop around just like you would with anything else. It's like if you're going to shop for a car, you don't just go to one dealership. You want to kind of look at what's out there and see who's charging more or less.
And if you're limited to just one course in your area?
So if you're limited to just one course, well, there's always going to be more than one course, but you still can at least try to get them to throw in something different. Like I said before, they definitely want your business, and they're going to be willing to go further for a golf tournament than they would for, obviously just a regular foursome that's coming out. And the more you have, if you have 144 players, they're definitely going to be willing to give you something. So just anything extra you can get or a discount is something you want to ask for.
Love it. Awesome. And you talked about leveraging weekdays. Tell me more about that.
So I play a lot of golf. I know that, and if you don't know how the courses charge, Friday, Saturday, Sunday are the most expensive. Saturday, Sunday mornings are the most expensive of those days. So if you don't have to play your tournament on a weekend, and if you can get a lot of people out on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you can get a cheaper rate. Mondays are typically the best and the cheapest times to run a golf tournament. So it depends on your audience. If you have a lot of retired people who are coming to play in the tournament, weekdays are okay. Fridays are okay. They're cheaper than the weekends, Fridays, but they're okay for people who work because a lot of people like to take Fridays off. But during the week, we'll save you money, definitely. And you absolutely have more leverage to ask for money off on a weekday than you do on a weekend.
And you haven't seen that affect attendance too much, like if you do a super midweek, like Tuesday or Wednesday, in terms of people not being able to get off work?
Well, you just got to know your audience. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday tournaments, if you can get people out, great. You got to know your audience. Fridays and Mondays are easier to get people to, and obviously weekends. But midweek tournaments are probably a little tougher, depending on how much you market and how amazing the prizes and all that stuff are. If it's really good and stuff like that, you can definitely get people out there.
Love it. Great. Okay, let's talk about what you specialize in, and that's utilizing technology. That's what WhyNotGolf.com is. It's actually a technology platform that you can go to and manage your teams. And I'll let Brent here talk a little bit more about it.
Yeah. So we started Why Not Golf a couple of years ago. I used to work in a financial firm, and we would have our clients would come in and say, we're throwing a tournament, and they would hand us a sheet of paper with, to fill out our foursome and give them either a check or our credit card information. And I just thought there's got to be a better way to do that, because each year we go along, checks are getting closer to dying and no one's going to use checks. So we're trying to, we created a system where you could, one of the things it does is it allows you to collect all your payments online. If you see on the screen, this is a screenshot from part of one of our tournament pages. You can create your golfer registration where the golfers can sign up and pay for their spot and the groups, and you can have your whole sponsors sign up and they can upload their logo as they do. You can basically create any kind of sponsorship you want. It can include groups or not. You can sell raffle tickets. On the screen it says super ticket, and I believe this tournament is doing a super ticket where you get raffle tickets, mulligans, and whatever string, whatever else they're going to do. But it just makes it a lot easier, and it saves the information on our site, and it makes it easier for you, and you don't have to go sending emails back and forth and trying to do your own spreadsheet and keeping track of it on your own. So if you utilize technology, and not necessarily our site, but in general, technology is created to help with these kind of processes, and this is what our site does.
That's great. Yeah, and whether you use WhyNotGolf or not, these are some of the things that we're going to talk about here in utilizing technology that you want to make sure that you ask for, right? If there's other platforms out there that might offer similar services in terms of managing player data and collecting payments and all these things, just make sure that you are asking for these things and making sure that they cover it. Because I know WhyNotGolf does a great job of it, but not everyone else does necessarily. So make sure that these are on your list.
Exactly.
Cool. Player data.
Yeah, so the next thing is saving player data. So as players sign up and pay, what our system does, it asks for their email addresses, and if they enter their phone number, you basically get to save the player information. And the reason why this is so good is, for next year, you're going to have all their information and you can remarket to them. So you don't have to necessarily save it on a spreadsheet and worry about that getting lost. It's saved in the cloud. So everyone hears about cloud storage. This is basically cloud storage. We save all your information, and you can go back and look at what happened. And if you see on the screen the money ledger, you can see all of where the money came from. So next year you can use that data and kind of help you streamline your process. So companies these days are using what you call big data, and that at Facebook that helps them tweak their processes and just make things better. So that's what we mean by save player data. You can access that on our system at any time.
And that's crucial. I mean, that's really how you grow an event, right? Is by building on year after year.
Exactly. Keep building it. And if you have a 10-year event and let's just say you keep using us or a system like that, not every player is the same player is going to play, but if you keep adding to that list, you're going to have a lot more people you can send an email out to, or even a text message, which we'll talk about at some point shortly. But cool. Saving player data is key.
Awesome. Tell us about kind of some tips for organizing player data, even if maybe they're not using a software system quite yet, but they need to learn how to
Sure.
How to organize it, and one of the best ways to do that.
Absolutely. So this is a screenshot of our player management section. When players sign up, either through check or by email the normal way, and you're collecting information and putting it onto a spreadsheet on your own, well, you got to keep track of the groups and who's paid and everything. What our system does is this is a tournament that has foursomes, and you can basically drag and drop players from one foursome to another. So at the end, when you're managing the groups, every group is a foursome, and this, if you see the red here on the screen means that someone hasn't paid. So this helps you keep track of who hasn't paid. And the blue is someone who has entered manually and paid by check, because you're never going to get rid of people who pay by check, or maybe they say hold my spot and you want to say that they're already paid. You can go in our system and say they're already paid. So this just helps you manage the whole foursome, because the foursome sheet, so when you send it to the course, it's very easy. Doing it by spreadsheet is just a little bit more difficult, but our system helps you manage it, and you can actually download it to a spreadsheet and then send it to the course. That's the whole goal of the player management.
Great, and it makes it easy for the course too, because you're already creating the groups, you're sending it off to the groups, and so they know who to send where when.
Exactly. It's if we can save you time by utilizing our technology, then that's just more time you can, market on the golf tournament, or, if you just want to use that time to relax, that's good too.
Well, yeah, or go get sponsors.
Exactly.
Right. Yep, totally. Cool. So talk about some of the reports. Obviously, WhyNotGolf makes it really easy, but some of the things that they should consider in terms of important reports to make sure that they're paying attention to when they start to collect player data.
Exactly. So the last screen we saw was where you manage the foursomes. Well, this is the actual group report. So if you managed it and then you go to the group report, this is it. And you can download it to a CSV file, which is an Excel file, and you can send it to the course, and boom, you're done. And the course knows exactly how to set up the carts. The first thing on here is the money ledger that keeps track of every person who bought, a sponsorship, a foursome, a solo spot in the golf tournament, a raffle package. So it'll keep track of all that for you. So you can if everyone went through our site or a different site like ours, you can keep track of all the money, and you don't have to worry about doing that on your own. Our system will do that for you. The players is basically the player data. That's the names, the email addresses, and phone numbers, and you can download all this for CSV if you want to save it on your computer, or you can just let it be saved in our system. And then the check-in report is for, a lot of people like to obviously print out the sheets that have all the player names, and then when they show up, they get to check them off and say they're checked in. So with our check-in report, you can sort it by name, you can sort it by whatever you need to sort it by, and then you just download it. And if someone hasn't paid, it'll say not paid, and you can collect their money there. And then the products report tells if you were to sell raffle tickets or mulligans and they bought it on our website, then when they showed up at the desk to check in, you would know that they already paid for it, and you check them off, and you would give them their raffle tickets. We encourage people to kind of try to pre-sell online. It makes it a lot easier. Less lines at the tournament.
Got it. Cool. I like it. Yeah, and all these can be done on your own, but this is just what makes it easier. But I had a question too about tournament stats. Like at the end of the tournament, do you have any tips for like kind of announcing a winner? Is it just someone kind of collecting all the scores? Because I know people get pretty competitive. We're going to talk about that a little bit, but
definitely. No, that's a feature that's coming up. But basically at the tournament, you hand all the scorecards to the actual the golf course, and they usually do all that for you. That's part of what what their service is. But we're going to integrate some features later where you can enter all that information and people can look at it online.
Awesome. So looks like a screenshot of the kind of check-in, using that technology to do that. Makes it a little bit easier, managing shirt sizes, those sorts of things.
Exactly.
All great stuff. So any other kind of general tips for just checking people into the tournament? I know that can be like if you get avoiding long lines, they're kind of just general tips outside of utilizing technology that you can offer.
Well, I mean, if you have more information up front, so with our system, you can ask if you're giving away shirts or things like that, you can ask for their size. When they sign up, they have to fill in the size of their shirt. So then you can automatically already have that ready for them. So anything that'll help save you time like that, we recommend. And the next slide is something that really helps with check-in. And that is, let's see. Okay. Yes, there you go. Getting your players to prepay. This is a big deal, actually, because if everyone pays day of, the lines can be really long. And I've been to tournaments and this actual tournament is one of them, where if 100 people are paying that day, they're going to have to stand in a long line, and you're going to sell less mulligans, less raffle tickets, less whatever, because it might come time to tee off and they haven't even gotten to the front of the line. So what we encourage people to do is to prepay. And with a technology platform, you can tell everyone, look, you need to pay before, a week before the tournament. And if you can get them to, purchase their raffle tickets and things like that ahead of time, that's even better. But another reason we encourage players to prepay is when they pay early, they tend to spend more money at the course. And the reason for this is it's psychological. If you think about it, let's say the tournament is $200 registration cost, and they pay the $200 day of, are they willing to spend another $200? Then in their head that they've spent $400 that day. But if they prepaid a month ago, when they're at the course and they're at the tournament, it's like that money's already gone. They're going to be willing to spend more money on raffle tickets and silent auctions and things like that. So we really encourage people to get their golfers to pay ahead of time. It helps for more than one reason.
I totally agree. I think this is one of the most crucial pieces here.
Yep.
Just mentally. You want people to come ready to spend money at the course, and if they have to spend right at check-in, then that's going to be part of their expenditure that day. So getting it done before is going to encourage them to spend a lot more money elsewhere, which is crucial.
Exactly.
So let's talk a little bit more about generating revenue, because this is the whole point of hosting a golf tournament. Saving time is great, but how do we make sure that the players are spending the money that you want them to spend when they get there day of? Starting with the silent auction tables, I know that Brent, you've talked a little bit about having silent auctions at your event. I know that all the golf events that we work with as Winspire, and we work with a lot over the summer months, is primarily focused on the silent auction. I know there's quite a few that I've seen more and more have live auctions, especially kind of like there's a kind of a post-tournament event that sort of happens with a live auction, maybe some like appetizers, drinks, even a direct appeal that's similar to kind of the gala. But the silent auctions is a great thing to have out there for people to bid on as they're waiting, for their hole, or just waiting to start, right? And you can offer travel and memorabilia items in the silent auction. They're all no risk. You can go get things donated from the community that are all kind of golf related. But we definitely have these no risk travel packages and hotel only packages that are really popular. We provide all the promotional materials so you can print them off and just put them right on the table there, and hopefully generate some extra revenue there while people are waiting. Did you want to say anything about the silent auction tables?
Yeah, I would say that I've been to a lot of golf tournaments, and the actual live auction stuff is for tournaments normally that have like a day before event. They'll do a live auction and a silent auction. So the bigger events, the events with 100 or more so golfers, which looks like half the people here have, those events tend to have live auctions and definitely silent auctions. So, it's something we encourage. If you have over 100 golfers, you will probably make some extra revenue from a silent auction.
And something to kind of note here too, especially for those bigger events, well, actually for anyone, right? These golf tournaments are great avenues for identifying new potential donors, right? Golf tournaments attract a lot of people that you've never seen before as your organization, right? And so you want to make sure that while they're there, you can figure out like who are the kind of high net worth people that I would really want to start talking to and maybe pursuing a little bit to try to become recurring donors for this cause, right? And offering big ticket live auction items or even big ticket silent auction items, kind of like a super silent auction table, is a really great way to identify those people who are willing to drop a couple $1,000s at a golf tournament, and you can say, hey, wow, we don't even know who this person is, but we should start finding out so that we can start maybe asking them if they're really interested in the cause and want to support us on a broader basis. So identifying donors is a really crucial part of offering those live and silent auction items. Tell us a little bit about the long drive. This was actually something I had no idea even existed, but we had a great conversation yesterday about what this entailed. So I think this is a great little tip.
Yeah, this is actually one of my favorite things. I've been to a few tournaments that get these guys out there, and I believe they're maybe the only company who does it. So what they do is they get guys who have competed in the long drive championships or in the long drive, they're on the long drive tour, and they have guys all over the country. So I can't say for certain, but most tournaments they can get a guy out to you. So what they do is they get a guy to set up on a hole at your tournament. And so the last tournament we ran, the hole was 380 yards, and we had, for anyone who knows, his name is Maurice Allen. At the time, he was, I believe, either 1 or 2 in the world. He had just hit one on TV, 450 yards or something. So we had him on a 380-yard hole, and this is in Florida, where the ball hits the fairway and rolls like 5 yards. I think he hit the green 5 or 6 times from 380 yards. He hit it on the green. So what they do is your foursome will pull up. They basically solicit the golfers, and they try to raise as much money as they can. So they'll get each person in the group to give $20, $30, $40, $50, and he'll hit a ball for each guy in that group. And it's pretty cool. It's not just like watching someone on the driving range where everyone just watches him hit. He gets you to donate the money, and he hits 4 balls, and you get to use his shot. So what that does is, it brings out the competitive spirit in people. If you're trying to win a golf tournament, you want every avenue of success you can get. And if he hits it on the green, you get to use his ball, and then you put it in, and it's an eagle on a par 4. So, but just being able to watch him hit a 380-yard drive is pretty amazing. So if you've never seen this, or if you've heard about it, it's a great addition to a golf tournament. Typically, for a decent sized tournament, they'll raise about $2,000, and the way it works is you don't pay them at all. They show up and they split the amount they raise with the charity. So around $1,000 extra dollars, and it's just a great addition to a tournament.
It's great. And for people like me who are pretty terrible at golf, I would need that extra hit just to stay with the rest of them. So I would, whether you're good or bad, I could see myself paying to have that a few extra yards.
Yeah, definitely. It's worth it. It's awesome. So I highly recommend it.
Cool. I love this one. This is one I hadn't heard of before. This is the air cannon, which is kind of similar to the long drive golf, but they provide a potato gun for you.
Similar. Yes, this is very similar. I think people who've done tournaments, a lot of them know about this. So what'll happen is, again, your foursome pulls up, and you have the air cannon guy, and he'll say, for $20, you get to shoot the air cannon at the green, and it's usually about a 320-yard hole. And then if you hit it on the green, you get to use the ball or just slightly off the green. And they split the revenue with the golf tournament, and it helps the team have a lower score as well. So competitive spirit again. Most people end up doing it because it's fun. Who doesn't want to shoot a golf ball with a gun, basically? Mm-hmm. And if you see on the screen, there's air cannon golf gun. There's a company. And I don't know if they're all around the country. I know they're at least in North Carolina, but they actually have the heat converted rifles into where it shoots a golf ball. It has a muzzle that holds a golf ball, and that's really, really cool. But air cannon golf gun, it's a good addition. I know anywhere around the country you can pretty much get a golf gun, an air cannon guy out to your tournament and help raise the extra money.
For a lot of guys who are trying to stand around, trying to be macho, they'll
yeah,
on the air cannon, and they'll pay what it takes to get on it for sure.
Yes, I agree.
Or gals may want to look macho, who knows, or they just want to be competitive, right? The ace hole, the Hayes hole-in-one. Tell us a little about hole-in-one insurance. I know that this is a hole-in-one insurance isn't necessarily a money maker, but it's an important aspect of any tournament, just in terms of promotion.
Yeah, so it isn't a direct moneymaker. I call it an indirect moneymaker, because you have to spend money for the insurance to offer a prize. But when you add things like hole-in-one insurance or hole-in-one coverage, where you're giving away $25,000 prize, that gets more players to your tournament. And the more neat things you have at some of the holes, the more year after year you're going to increase your tournament. So this is one of those things that it just adds to it. And if you don't do hole-in-one, insurance currently. How it works is let's just say you're doing a $10,000 prize. You pay somewhere around $200 insurance for that $10,000. And then and you put it on one of the holes, and then the other 3 holes you get, smaller prizes if someone gets a hole in one. So it's pretty cool. And in the whole package of the whole tournament, if you have, the long drive guide, the air cannon guide, the hole in one insurance, it goes a long way to getting your players to come back again, because they leave the tournament and they're thinking, that was a really fun tournament. I'm going to come back next year and I'm going to tell my buddies about it. It's about creating a great event and getting all those players back. So this is one of those things we like to have at our tournaments.
Cool. What are some of the other prizes that's not maybe $10,000 that some prizes that you would offer for hole in one?
Well, you can do whatever you want. Companies are creative. Basically, the insurance correlates to a dollar amount. You could go to a local car dealership, and I've seen people do that where, let's say the car normally costs $30,000. If you have a relationship with the car dealership, they might offer it for $25,000, but then you buy the insurance for $25,000, and they bring the car out to the course, and you win the car if you get the whole one. So that's a cool thing you can do.
It's all about adding that wow factor and credibility to the event, because if they can drive the car out onto the course and have it there, right, and it makes people just a little more excited, and it just adds to that.
Correct. Exactly. Right. And then it's like a PGA Tour event, where they have the car next to the hole.
Totally. Yeah, and you're not necessarily paying anything for it. You're paying for the insurance, but for the few $100s that it costs to insure that, you're getting a whole lot more credibility and promotional material that you can use to get more people to come and spend money at your event.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, and if you think about it, if someone does, let's say you go 10 years in your tournament and someone finally gets a hole in one and it's a really good prize. Well, I mean, you could put that if it's a small town or even a medium-sized town, put it in the paper. Like, you're going to get your name out there, and wow,
you almost hope they get a hole in one, right?
You do. You definitely do.
Yeah.
Well, if you're playing in it, you hope you get the hole in one.
Right. Have you ever gotten a hole in one?
I have 2 hole in ones.
Woo! Did you win anything for it?
No. Well, the golf course gave me a flag. It was pretty cool. So
that's cool. That's awesome.
Something.
I love it. All right, cool. Let's quickly go through just a few more, because I know this is really what people are interested in terms of just some of the other revenue generators. And it's all about leveraging that competitive spirit of the tournament, making sure people, spend money to try to win. But you also don't want to oversaturate. If you offer too many things, people stop spending money rather quickly. So let's run through each of these real quick.
Yeah, so definitely don't oversaturate. You want to find the balance of having a lot of contests and things versus, having too much where they have to open their wallet every hole. You don't want to do too much. So you got to find the balance.
How many holes would you say would you have a contest out of 18? How many would you include a contest?
Maybe 4 to 5 is pushing the limit.
Okay, great. Good to know.
It just depends. It depends on your level, like the people at the tournament, how much they're having fun. There's variables. So, but I would say it's 4 to 5.
Great, I love it. And just real quick, I saw Paula Frisch who just commented. She said, just a statement: we get an insurance company to sponsor our hole-in-one insurance. Win-win, which I love. That's great.
Nice. That's awesome.
Cool. All right, cool. Let's go through it. Putting contest.
So a putting contest, and a lot of these hole-in-one insurance companies do this as well, but you can do it different ways. What a lot of tournaments will do, they'll have the putting contest on the putting green that's next to hole number 1. So when the groups come by hole number 1, they'll have that set up and charge $5 or $10 and do like a 50-foot putt. And what you can do is you can either give half that money. Let's say 100 people do it for $10, so you can give them half of the pot of $1,000 if they make the putt, or whoever makes the putt. Or you can actually purchase the putting insurance basically from the hole-in-one companies, and they will do that same thing, and you can offer more if you wanted to. So they offer that as well. It's something that people don't really know about. Raffles and mulligans are one of the biggest things that probably almost every single tournament does. It's just a great way to, especially mulligans. You can have people buy mulligans for $10. It doesn't cost you anything. And
So for those who don't know what a mulligan is, why don't you just enlighten us?
okay, yeah. So a mulligan is, if you're running a tournament, it basically lets you if you hit your ball into the woods or into the lake, you get to hit another shot. But in a scramble tournament, the tournament dictates if you can have a mulligan or not. So they'll usually offer up mulligans for sale, and it's a great way to make free money, basically free. You don't have to give a product out. You just are leveraging the competitive spirit. Everyone wants to win, and no one wants to get a bogey on a hole when you're playing in a scramble.
Who keeps
So
track of it? Do they have to buy them before they go out, or do they buy
I
them as?
mean, you can't really keep track, to be honest. I I definitely suspect people cheat in tournaments, and anyone who's played know that as well. But golf's basically the honor system, and people should police themselves. But at the end of the day, winning first place isn't really what it's all about. It's about making money for the charity.
But you also want them to want to win first place, right? And buy mulligans. So I guess at the end,
correct. Yes, exactly.
People coming in and saying, "Oh, I had 3 mulligans. $20 a pop. I'll pay the $60 because I definitely dropped my ball 3 times."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that happens too. So most people are, I've never seen anyone blatantly cheating, but it is what it is. Got
it. Cool.
So let's see. Beat the Pro, a raffle. Okay. Raffle. What you want to do with raffles is you want to get as many of your local businesses or anyone who wants to donate products or something maybe they sell from their company or just anything they have to the raffle. Or if you can get, a discount at a store. And
let me jump in there actually, because one thing that we offer, and this is one of the more popular things that we offer for golf tournaments, and that's our winner's choice raffle. So super popular for it's basically you reserve 3 or 4 Winspire experiences, right? And we have tons of golf experiences, PGA Tour, Masters even, and basically the winner of the raffle gets to choose which of the travel packages they want, and that allows you to kind of have a broader appeal to the prizes for both men and women. You can have a New York getaway for the ladies, and then or Napa Valley, and then you can have a PGA Tour tickets to PGA Tour, and they're all around the same cost. And if you sell 100 tickets at $100 a pop, that's $10,000. You back out the cost of a package for say 2 or 3, you get to keep 7, right? And there's various ways that you can structure the pricing to make sure that you're still making some, but it's just a great way to have a really big prize, and it's no risk to you guys because you're just reserving it and you only purchase it from us after the event and only if it raises enough money. So.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea.
Cool. Beat the Pro. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so Beat the Pro, a lot of times what you can do is you can have the pro at the golf course, or if you have a connection with an actual pro that people know about, you'll have them set up on a par 3, and when the groups get to the par 3, they can pay $10 or $20 to try to beat the pro, and if you beat the pro, you get something in return, whether it's more raffle tickets or whatever you choose. And then you also get, if he beats you, you get to keep his shot, and you get maybe something else in return. But it's just another way to get people, again, the competitive spirit, and getting them to want to try to beat the pro, because everyone wants to beat the pro.
Cool. I love it. Close to the pin and tee off from the ladies' tees. Let's cover those real quick.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. So close to the pin, it's similar to hole in one, but we have a company that they set up and they do closest to the pin stuff, and each group will give a certain amount of money, and whoever was the closest in that group will win a Cancun vacation. Pretty cool, and it's just another way to raise money. So have a closest to the pin contest. Teeing off from the lady seats, I've seen this a few times, or if you're a lady, teeing off from further up, typically done on a par 5. If it's a normally 500-yard par 5, they might do it on a 400-yard set of tees, and it's just an easier way to get a lower score, and you typically pay $5 to $10 to be able to do that.
Great. I love it. All right, let's talk event promotion. We got 2 more sections we want to get to here. Promotion is key because you want as many of these new golfers to come and join your event. So tell us a little about your tips.
So here's a couple tips. A lot of people know, obviously, that you can, put an ad in the paper. It's not that expensive. People actually still do look at the paper, and I believe they put these ads online as well. So if you spend a little money to do an ad, you're going to get seen by people who read the paper, probably potentially play golf because they put it in the sports section. So that's one thing to do. But we like using Facebook ads. And if you haven't ever done an ad on Facebook, it's pretty easy. You can basically target age groups, target what they like. So you can do 30 to 60 years old who like golf and live in this certain area. So what'll happen is, and it's not that expensive. You can do $10, you can do $5, you can do 25 or 50, but it'll show up on those people's news feeds, and they can click on it. And on Facebook, it's easier to share these things with other people. So if people like it, they're going to share. So if you make your tournament sound great, and your tournament just needs a little extra people, we encourage doing some Facebook ads, and maybe even the newspaper.
Yeah, create a Facebook event, right, on Facebook, and if you have an online registration page, that's where you want to direct them. But the registration page should have information on the golf tournament and your cause. Don't forget to talk about what you're raising money for in your advertisement, right? It's not just about the golf tournament. It's about educating them on the importance of your cause. Who else is going to be there? So share your mission. Who else is going to be there? What are some of the prizes? The hole in one. Make it exciting and make it feel like a little event community. Like people are going to be missing out if they don't go there. That's just a really crucial part about any sort of event promotion, but especially golf tournaments. Is I see a lot of golf tournament things, and the cause or the logo is kind of off to the side, and it's hard to even figure out what it's for. So don't forget that you are running a fundraiser with this golf tournament, and so that should be at the forefront, because people will participate if they care about your cause and if it's something that affects them especially. So
exactly, and with Facebook, it's just easier to share, and sharing is how you get in front of more people. And this is our next point: is you want to get your players to share, and you want to give them the easiest tool that they can have to share. So sharing on Facebook is one of the easiest things. And if you use our technology or some other technology, ours integrates Facebook sharing buttons. But just because the button's there doesn't mean they're going to share. So to do a better job, you need to spend a little time and actually tell your players to share on Facebook. Because I'll tell a quick story. I played at Rollins College. I played baseball at Rollins College, and they did a golf tournament every year. And I used to go every time, and they kind of stopped marketing it, or they changed coaches, and I didn't know about it, or I would have gone. But had all the people that I know and went to school with, had they shared on Facebook, I would have played. So when someone shares on Facebook, they're typically connected to many other people who have their same thoughts and likes. So if you get your players to share on Facebook the link to your tournament with an easy way to sign up, it's a lot easier to get more players at that tournament. So we highly encourage leveraging and educating your players to be, or the players who played last year, or any of your donors, to share as much as possible and become kind of your sales guys. But you have to give them the tools to do it and make it easy. If you told them to go hand out flyers, they're probably not going to do it. But if you said share the Facebook link, that's way easier, and it doesn't take very long. So that's probably one of the best ways to get new people to know about you.
I love it. Yeah, don't be afraid to ask and remind. People forget. Sometimes it doesn't, people won't do it on the first time or even the second time, but if you remind them the third or fourth or even fifth time, say, hey, it's really, really important that you share this out to your constituents and your friends. It'll really make a big impact. If nothing else, that's like the one thing I ask. They're gonna help you out, but just make sure that you remind them. Cool.
Exactly.
Texting, I think is huge because think about how much. I mean, in the world of marketing here, we talk about open rates for email, and usually open rates for email is around 20 to 25%. Well, texting is typically closer to 100% because everyone pays attention to their text messages. So it's a great way to distribute information about your event. And I know that Brent, you've had a lot of success with it.
Exactly. For anyone who goes to work every day or emails someone, you know that not everyone they don't email you back. You have to hound them sometimes. So the email open rate is definitely going down because people get tons and tons of emails every day, and you may look at it and just move on to the next thing, forget about it. But with texting, everyone has their phone with them 24/7 for the most part, or most of the time, and it vibrates in your pocket, and you check it, and there you have a link to a golf tournament. You see on the screen, this is an actual screenshot of what one of our tournaments looks like on text message. It looks really good. So if you're running a tournament and you put your logo on the front page, this is what it'll look like if you text it to someone. So then they can just click on it, sign up, or they can send a text to their friends. So, we talked about getting your players to share on Facebook and social media. Well, you can also have them say, hey, text this link to your friends as well. It's just a really good way to get the word out as well. So you want to do Facebook and texting.
That's great. I think it's really important. Cool. Just a couple slides here about preparing for next year. It's a very crucial part of running any event. What do you have to say there, Brent?
So yeah, most people run a tournament once a year, and they scramble up to the event, and then it's sigh of relief until next year's scramble up to the event. That's what I would say a lot of people do. So we encourage people to utilize technology, whether it's us or somebody else. Obviously, we hope it's us. That save your data, save your contact list, save all your information to where next year you can have your plan is a lot easier because you have all that information. You don't have to go searching, and depending on how many years you've run your tournament, you might have a really organized way of doing things, and you're structured and you got that. But maybe for a new tournament, that if you do it the right way from the beginning, it'll be a lot easier for next year. So we're trying to encourage people to think about being prepared and not having to scramble for next year. So if you do it and you prepare your tournament this year well, and keep all your contact information, and the next, preparing for next year will be a lot easier.
Great. Do yourself a favor.
Exactly. Think about the future.
I think that for vendors as well, it sounds like.
So the other thing we like to say is save all your vendor information, because you don't want to have to go Googling every year for a hole-in-one insurance or the long drive guys or things like that. So save that vendor information. And one thing we're doing is since we think about tournaments all the time, we're going to always keep kind of a list of who we like and maybe new things that are happening in golf tournaments. And you can come to our site and maybe look at what we think, because if you're running one tournament a year, that's not on your mind all the time. But if guys like us and people like us, we think about that all the time, and there may be some changes in what happens in golf tournaments, we'll try to keep you up to date with that kind of thing. So save the people you used if you like them. If not, maybe come to us, and our website can show you who we like to use, and maybe some tips on some new stuff that's coming out.
That's great. I love it. We've got some good questions coming in, so we're going to get to those real quick. If you have a question that we haven't answered yet, now's the time to enter it. I want to thank Brent from WhyNotGolf. If you're interested in learning more about WhyNotGolf, it's a great platform. Definitely check it out at WhyNotGolf.com. There's a phone number right there. I know Brent would absolutely love to help you with your tournament. You don't need to be in Florida. You can be anywhere in the country to use his platform. Did you want to say anything else there, Brent?
If you have a tournament that's coming up, you can either send us an email or give us a call. Email is probably the best way because we can keep a record of what the conversation was. Just info@whynotgolf.com. Any question you have, we'll be more than happy to answer that for you. if you got a tournament this summer or later this year or next year, we'd love to have you give us a try, and hopefully it'll help you with your tournament.
Great. Okay, great. We're going to get to the questions here in just a second. For those of you also running a golf tournament and you need some silent auction items or live auction items, that's what we're here for as Winspire. We provide travel for those silent auction tables and for the live auction. Everything's no risk. You don't pay a thing to use it. You only purchase the trips after the event and only if they sell and raise money. So please give us a call. Their number's right there. You can also go to winspireme.com to check out our website. We are also giving away $1,000 Broadway experience to one of our Winspire new subscribers. We do this once a quarter. So check out winspireme.com/giveaway, or you can just click on the blog on our website. We come out with weekly articles all about improving your fundraising events, including golf tournaments. There's a great post actually that we just posted last week about golf tournaments that you should definitely check out. It has some great tips in there. I'm also doing a podcast called Events with Benefits. It's all about fundraising events that I highly encourage you to check out. My colleagues Renee Zhao and Danny Hooper, both great. Danny Hooper's hilarious. He's an old radio host, and we do a bunch of really cool stuff about golf tournaments and also galas. So check that out wherever you get your podcast. It's free. And with that, let's get to some questions here. So I'm gonna come down. I'm gonna take a look here. Starting with Sarah Anatucci, would rate negotiating work for private country clubs as well?
That's a good question. Probably, because they still do that's still big business. It's probably a Monday. You're talking most private courses do charity tournaments on the Monday when all the when they're closed for the members. But it's worth a shot. If it doesn't work, at least you tried. They may give you something extra, but never hurts to ask, as I would say.
Great. I've been told, this one's from Carol Condon. I've been told Montana has outlawed, and perhaps other states have it, outlawed the hole-in-one game under the Gaming Commission. Any advice for states where, and I have a couple of questions about this, about raffles and things like that. Do you ever run into any issues with local regulations?
Interesting. I honestly, being in Florida, we're pretty much open for everything. So I haven't heard about that here. That's a good question. I'll do some research into that and maybe do a post on our site about what people do in states where they don't allow that. But there's probably a way around it. That's kind of ridiculous that they would do that.
It's tough. I know that it's various state regulations are kind of frustrating. Contact your local district attorney office. That's going to be your best source for finding out what is legal and what is not. Especially when it comes to running games and raffles and kind of gambling, that sort of thing. Although, maybe the Supreme Court's recent decision to open up gambling will have a positive effect on this too. We'll see.
There may be a loophole for charities as well, but it depends, I guess. You have to look into it. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I would say because it's regional, I would definitely contact your local district attorney office for more information on that. Paul Frisch, thanks for that tip about getting an insurance company to sponsor the hole-in-one insurance. I think that's great. Michael Shipman, what is a good marketing window for a tournament? 3 months, 6 months?
I would say the longer, 6 months is probably too long because people tend to have short memories. You want to start preparing your tournament maybe 4 to 5 months out, but 3 months, 3 to 4 months, start marketing. And then we see on our site, people tend to pay 2 weeks ahead of time, but that's the one thing that you kind of have to get on people that are going to play. Tell them to pay early. But as far as the marketing goes, not too far out because no one's going to put on their calendar 6 months out that they're going to play in a golf tournament. Not many people. I would say 3 to 4 months is probably a pretty good window.
Great.
But you have to stay on them.
Totally. Adreen, thanks for that, Michael. Andrew had a question about the legality of selling raffle tickets online. Maybe you can only sell them in person again, and that's in Massachusetts. Again, I would check with your local district attorney office for rules on that. Adrien Beliza, my tournament is a nighttime golf tournament, so we only play 9 holes, but we were trying to find a way to create more revenue from the tournament because it sells out so quickly. You mentioned about having an event the day before. Is the event the night before the formal, casual? What have you seen?
The event the night before, I've seen, it just depends on how you want to run it. And depend, if you have a band and things like that, it's usually casual. I would say it all depends on who you have at the tournament. So how much you charge. If you're doing a nighttime tournament and it's just 9 holes, I would normally do a semi-casual type of thing. And usually anything related to golf isn't super dressy. So I wouldn't go more than semi-casual. In Florida, since it's so hot, people are wearing shorts 24/7. So for us, it's kind of casual all the time.
Totally.
So,
yeah. And I would say, Adrien, that's a great opportunity to have a live auction sound and a direct appeal if you want to have an auctioneer. You don't want to maybe have it turn into a full gala, but you can kind of have like a cocktail hour event, a little bit shorter. It's really however you want to format it, depending on what your audience interests are. Like if your audience is a little bit younger, they might appreciate a happy hour thing. If they're a little bit older, they might appreciate kind of a dinner thing. It totally depends on your audience, but trying to find ways to wring, fundraising dollars out of every single minute of the agenda is what's going to be important there. Thanks for that. And then Frank Hanlon, what percentage does WhyNotGolf take? What does it cost?
So WhyNotGolf is basically we charge a fee per player. So we charge $3.99, and it's set up to where if the player can pay it, you'll just add it. It'll just add it to the cost. So if it's $100 entrance fee to the tournament, at checkout, the player will pay $103.99. And this is very, common. Ticketmaster, everyone tends to charge this fee. We've never had anyone complain about paying that for the convenience. It's just what the default is today. We've had tournaments that charge $750 per person. They thought that they didn't want the player to pay the $3.99, so they chose to take the $3.99 out of the $750. So you have a choice, but at the end of the day, it's really not that expensive for everything you get. And you get your website, the web page you create will stay as long as you're with us. So you get to choose your own extension, whatever your tournament name is, or whatever you want. That'll be yours as long as you stay with us, and you don't have to create a new site next year. You can use us as your tournament website.
That's great. And can you use it in Canada? It's from Katie.
We're working on that because of exchange rates. So it's something we can probably do. We haven't gotten to that point yet. We'll in the future, pretty soon, shortly.
Great. And then I got another question about the difficulties of negotiating with private country clubs. Do you have any other tips for that? This is from Jess McPherson.
Look, it's definitely a little bit more difficult. They might draw a hard line in the sand, but if they won't give you a discount on the rate, maybe they'll give you something. But they're going to be probably the toughest to negotiate with because they're private and it's their rules. A lot of times it's not that they don't need your money, they just don't need it as much as a public course does. Public courses don't make a lot of revenue, to be honest. So they need every tournament they can get. So like I said, just see if you can get something, maybe a sleeve of golf balls per player. Anything you can get is better than nothing. So
got it. That's great.
But yeah, they're a little bit tougher.
Great. Got a few more questions here. I thought this was a great question from Marjorie McAllister. How many volunteers do you need the day of an outing?
Ooh, I mean, that's a tough question. It just depends on how efficient you are. Depends on how many people are at your tournament. We ran a tournament last year, had 100 players. Had about 5 volunteers. It depends on how many games you're doing as well, that you need people at the holes. If you do a hole-in-one insurance, you have to have a person at that hole to watch the ball. Like, so you have to have a witness basically. So, plan out your tournament, figure out how many games you're going to do, and that's kind of how I would decide how many volunteers I need. But an average tournament probably has 5 to 10.
Great. And then this is a great question thank you for that, Marjorie. And then great question from Michael Shipman. What's the best way to handle rain dates?
Rain dates, that's, you got to coordinate that with the course. It depends on their policy, because each course has a different contract. In Florida, it rains a lot. So, day of, if it rains, it's best to get with the pro of the course and kind of reschedule that, because they're the one who you're going to have to look on their calendar to redo it. And it just depends on how many players are in the tournament. Typically, when you pay for a tournament and it rains and it's a charity tournament, I mean, you're not asking for your money back because that's tacky, but you do want the players to get something out of it or play. And if it gets rained out completely, you want to try to probably do it as soon as possible, I would say, because the people, it's on their mind, and maybe a couple weeks. But again, get with the director of the course, and they'll probably help you out the most with that because they have the schedule.
Got it. So kind of try to host it again as soon as possible is basically.
Well, I mean, you really want to just try to get it done that day, even if there's any possibility. We played tournaments that have rained the whole day and people just played. So if you can't do that, work with the course and they'll help you. They're there to help you.
Great. And then I think the answer to this is no, but does WhyNotGolf have a resource to view and bid on silent auction items? I believe there's no mobile bidding.
That not currently. That's something definitely down the road. We eventually want to have the technology for everything you do in a tournament, but step one is kind of how we are now. Down the road, we're going to have a feature that does that. It'll make it a lot easier.
Got it. Cool. And then do you offer, does WhyNotGolf feature abilities to text from the platform with ease, or how does that work? Or does what do you recommend for sending mass text to people? Is it just something you send from your phone as the organizer?
So this is something we actually are about to implement. I can't give a timeline, but maybe in a couple months that we're looking at some providers that you'll be able to enter phone numbers in and text through our platform. But currently, the best way to do it is, you can go onto our mobile site, and once you've created your tournament, grab that link and just, text it to your list from your phone. But we're going to have it where you can do it from our website, and you can just mass send it out. So we're close to that. It's on the horizon basically. So Great. Let's just say you run your tournament this year. It'll definitely be here next year, but I can't give you a date as far as when that's going to be available.
Okay. There's some peer-to-peer options out there too in the meantime. If you just look up peer-to-peer fundraising, it's all about texting that you can look at there. Xavier, sorry, just a couple more questions here. How do shootout contests work?
Shootout contests are typically, I believe it's after the tournament, and you'll have groups go out to we haven't had a lot of these at our tournament, so I'm kind of trying to think. I think I've been in one tournament that did a shootout, and maybe that's not a common thing in Florida, but I believe you go out to a hole and you pay to get into the shootout, and whoever's close to the pin. I'm not exactly sure. Sorry, I guess I didn't really answer your question. I've only been to one tournament that's had one, so I don't have a lot of experience with shootouts, to be honest.
Okay. Just one last point. I thought this was great from Brianna Fernandez, and then we will end it there. Just wanted to add that another thing to negotiate with the golf course is auction items. Have them include a foursome or two for your auction to see what other resources they might have. If they've connected to a hotel, have them include a hotel stay for your live auction or silent auction as well. I think that's great, Brianna. Thanks for that tip.
Yeah, I can say some of that. Courses will absolutely give you foursomes, and that's definitely something you can negotiate. If you have a lot of players at a tournament, they may give you 2 to 3 foursomes, and if courses have like sister courses, they can give you say, for example, if a company that you're playing at owns 3 courses, you can possibly ask them to give you a foursome from one of their other courses. That's definitely something that you can negotiate. So if you can't get anything out of a private course, maybe a private course can get you a foursome from a course or something like that.
Great. I love it. Awesome. All right, with that, I'd like to thank Brent Haworth, founder and CEO from WhyNotGolf, for joining us today and sharing his infinite wisdom on charity golf tournaments. If you'd like to learn more, please check out whynotgolf.com. Thank you so much, Brent.
Thanks for having me.
All right, everyone, and stay tuned for more free webinars coming up. My name is Ian Loth. I'm the VP of Fundraising here at Winspire, and we'll get back with you very soon on some more resources. So take care. Thank you for joining us.